The Spear beta is here, and there's mixed reviews about it. Because even though the Spears are pretty fun, there's a bit of an issue on some of them. They're not that powerful, and this has made a lot of people not like them as much. And in this video, we're going to talk about that, and also tell you which builds are pretty good right now, and you can start using on each of the classes, and how to choose them as well. Subscribe to the channel for more content of this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support me, and let's get into it. So, here we go. So I've been checking out all the builds, you know, in PvP, in PvE, blah blah. Once through some Discords, once through some Reddit posts, and just chill out and see what they're actually, if they're good, if they're bad, and overall, it seems to be like, even though they're pretty fun and they have some cool mechanics, it seems like they're pretty on the power right now. There's a few exceptions. I think, for example, Mesmer is pretty good. It does a lot of damage. It's pretty fun to use. But most of them are a bit underpowered. They don't have that many boons. They don't have that many utility. They don't have that much damage either. This means that, well, people don't want to use them. Even if they are new and, you know, exciting to try out, it makes it a bit, you know, unexciting. And that's actually a big problem, I think, because yes, it's a beta, and we should consider the fact that it is, and I'm sure they're gonna get better. And this is the point of the beta, to actually find out what's wrong with these weapons. But also, it is important that, well, it's not only a beta, but it's also a publicity spot. It is the best publicity that the expansion can have, because this is a very important type of content for the expansion. And if we perceive it as a bad thing, a lot of people might not actually want to purchase it. And I get that we're gonna get better, but first impressions are very important. This is why I found it very, very weird that they actually went for this approach. Because, well, people are just, you know, if they made it super powerful, right? All these weapons, they made it super powerful, even if they are kind of clunky, even if they had some bugs, because they do have some bugs, like they have a good amount, it would not be that big of a problem, right? It would not be that big of an issue. Like, I've seen a lot of, let me just put some footage of me attacking stuff, but there is a good amount of weird things happening on some of the classes. I don't know if you can actually see this. No, actually, let's go into Guild Wars 2 and I'll check it, and I'll just show it to you. But yeah, there's a few like weird things, like for example, Ranger, you know, there's certain attacks that actually don't go through if you position yourself even in the correct way. There's some problems with like Warrior sometimes not tracking the 5 ability that you usually would track people after you hit them and you start throwing spears to them. It just doesn't really track. Spear on Revenant doesn't really work on their 4, because like whenever you dash, you're supposed to put little balls on the path where you went through, but sometimes this number of balls, it depends on the client or something. I don't actually know why, but it just, sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. It's very weird. And there's one little thing that I found very funny on my Guardian, on the Spear. It's not really that big of a deal, but I did find it pretty funny how this one works, is that you have your auto attack, you know, that you will do a little cone attack that I'm gonna show you right now, and it works normally, right? You can see it right here. You just, oh well, it's loading. There you go. It looks normal, right? It's just the effect is perfect, right? But then if you start moving, you can see how it lags behind, and the hitbox is like behind you, and like if you turn, like what's happening here, right? Why is it working this way? And all these things just make it super not enjoyable. And if, you know, you had this problems, but you deal a lot of damage, you had a lot of boons, and you feel super powerful through the weekend, you're probably not gonna care. But this pair with the fact that they're not that good, it just gives you a sour taste in your mouth, making it not really excited for the content, and of course the expansion as well, which I think is very, very much a blunder. You can just nerf them afterwards. It's okay. Like, no one's gonna get rewards for this beta anyways, so who cares? It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to go through this way, right? There's another problem, and I think this Reddit post is a good way of looking at it. Spears also underline how balancing everything around quickness feels bad, and this is true, because guess what? Most of the criticisms over the Spear is that they feel very slow. They feel slow without quickness, and they feel okayish, and sometimes even slow with quickness. And this is because everything is balanced around having quickness all the time in PvE, right? If you don't have quickness, you're probably fucking up. You should have quickness in group content. So this means that whenever you don't have it, because you're playing solo, or because you're playing PvP or Warver's World, it feels super slow. So what do we do about this? It's actually very problematic, I think. Now, I'm not really sure what you can do, and honestly, this would require a whole video over it, and I'm probably gonna do it eventually anyways. But it's just, it's very bad, because you can't really just remove quickness. But also you can't really make everyone have quickness and, you know, and make you, or like make every spear just insanely fast as normal and as quickness. It's a very huge problem, and I'll think about it. I think maybe you can do like a little bit of a nerf to quickness and maybe make the baseline a bit faster overall, or maybe just nerf certain other weapons speeds. So I don't even know. I don't know, or like I guess maybe just make spears a bit faster, honestly, and maybe nerf overall quickness a little bit, and just make the weapons that are very slow a bit faster. I don't know. It really is difficult to fix this problem, so I'm not really sure. But it is definitely something that has made spears feel not as fun as well. So there's a good amount of problems, right? I do think they are gonna fix most of these things. This is a beta. We'll get feedback. And, you know, if you have gone through this little Reddit post about each of the Spears beta, I think they have been going through a lot of good feedback, and people have really been talking very well, you know, giving some good amount of information from each of the weapons. And I'll definitely do a tier list, actually, with criticisms of every one of the spears and which ones are the best, how they feel, and which ones are the worst. But until then, which I guess is going to be tomorrow, I guess you're going to have to, you know, accept this summary of the situation. Now, for the next thing that I wanted to talk about is how to actually pick which, because we only have one day left, a few hours actually, on how to pick. And I probably should have done this beforehand, but I just wanted to, well, I guess I was too late. But still, I want to talk about the builds that we have. So the best way of getting builds, I think, in my opinion, is checking out what the spear does, if it's a condi weapon, a power weapon, or a heal weapon, and then just choose any of the builds that already exist in that class, in Meta Battle or Snowcross or whatever, and just replace one of the weapons with it. For example, Warrior is a power weapon, the spear, so you can probably, I know you can just blast and put play Berserker, for example, and replace Greatsword with spear, play Spellbreaker and replace Hammer with spear, as it also uses CC, so it actually works with attacker insight, because CCing in Spellbreaker is very important to get more damage. And also, if you're in PvP, you can just go for a Dagger Duelist, Greatsword Dagger Duelist build. You can apply this to every one of the other specs. Now, let's go for, oh fuck, I closed it. That's fine, we can just go here and check. I closed the Virtuoso one. There it is. Virtuoso back again. Feels good. I'm gonna check a few of the builds that people have been playing. For Virtuoso, Mesmer, Spear, Virtuoso works perfectly. It does like, what, 45k? Absolutely great. I'll leave all the of this builds on the description as well. They look very good. And this one is one of the ones that I really, really like. So you can check the rotation, and you can check the builds. You can do the same thing for Chrono, right? You can just replace Greatsword with Spear, and more or less do the same rotation, and it'll work pretty well. And also, I have heard people playing Power Mirage as well, which is very fun as well. Now, it doesn't seem like it's super good, but apparently the rotation is pretty interesting, it's pretty fun to play with, so hopefully they get a bit, Power Mirage gets a bit of a buff, so we can actually go through that next time, right? So for Necro, it seems like you can do the same, as I said before, with Reaper and Harbinger, both having the same setup. Just bring Greatsword and Spear, do the same rotation you would do on any of these ones, right? You probably want the biggest thing you're gonna think about is like putting your wells before going to Shrouds to do big damage. And one thing that is very, very important about Spear is that you want to create your shards, right? You make your 2 do a lot of damage, and then you press your 4, right? And then it's gonna flip over for another skill, and that skill, the second skill of 4, will replenish your 2. So you want to do 4, 2, or again to replenish your 2 and do it twice, as you can see right there, which is pretty good. And then just go, put your wells and go next to the shroud and do big damage. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean this is like extremely damage. This is like 40k. It's not that much. It's okay. Not too much, but what are you gonna do? It's still kind of fun to play. NG, Condi Holdsmith or Condi Scrapper. I think it's what they are usually working with. It's a very difficult rotation. It doesn't seem that it does damage, considering the amount of effort you have to put in here, so I'm not sure if I would recommend it, but if you want to try it, you can definitely do so. I'm sure that, yeah, I mean, look, NG is not one of the... NG Spear really doesn't seem like one of the best weapons they have designed on this beta, so we'll definitely see if they change a little bit, because I don't really see it, guys. I don't really see this one. But yeah, you can see the rotation there, which is not. If you like it, you should go try it, I guess. And I guess, yeah, you can do that with Scrapper. You probably can't do that with what's the last one? Mechanist. You probably can do it with. Oh, I mean, there is a Condic Mechanist build, so maybe you can actually do it. I just haven't seen it. And of course, you also have Ranger with your with Soul Beast. You can do the same thing with Untamed. It just seems like the same thing again. You just replace one of the weapons. You probably keep Mace, or Axe, and then you have your little spear on the other side. And you just do your 5 to go in stealth, then press 2 to make the upgraded version of the damage that you want to do. And also remember to not be revealed. As once you press 5 and you become stealth, you will have the reveal debuff, making you not be able to go back to stealth again. So definitely consider that. But yeah, it seems like a very normal rotation. You can apply this to probably anything but Druid right now, and you're good. The next one is gonna be Thief. Thief also is working pretty well. I think you can do it in every spec: Deadeye, Daredevil, and of course Spectre. The only thing that makes me sad is that you can't actually gain Shadow Force on Spectre with the spear, which definitely sucks. Which you can still play it, but you're probably not gonna be able to play something like Alacrity on the Spectre. But yeah, you're gonna be able to do DPS, which is pretty cool. And most of the rotations look pretty similar. I think you do like 2-3-2, right? Because you know they have the flip over skills, and then you press 4 to get into the lead up attack afterwards, the mid attack, and then you go back to 3-3, go stealth, ambush. And then do it again over and over again, which I think is a cool rotation. The same thing goes for, yeah, you can see here the Daredevil version. It does more or less the same idea, right? Just without the Spectre Shroud. And for last video I have is Guardian, because the other ones, I didn't get a Warrior video, an Ellie video, and a Revenant video, because they don't do any damage. So there's no one actually testing it, but we'll talk about it anyways. You've already went through Warrior and which possibilities you can play, and here you go. You have Guardian with the Drown Hunter. You probably can do this in Willbender as well. Probably not Firebend though. So you have this beautiful build, which is essentially just typical Drown Hunter Willbender playstyle power, right? You use Blast, and you use your Greatsword, you do big damage, and then you go into your spear. Press all the buttons. As Illumination seems like as long as you press all the buttons, you'll be okay. You probably do it in the order as they are doing it right now in the video, but this will make it work. I also have heard that Spear is actually pretty good in War of the World, in Surging, as a healing weapon, kind of like Staff. So if you want to try that, definitely go for the typical Firebrand build and just replace or Mace Shield or Staff with Spear and try it out and see how it works. I've heard very good things about it, so definitely can try that for the last day. And what else am I missing? Ellie. Won't have footage for that, but Ellie, look, just go for Weaver, go for Catalyst, go for Tempest, try them out. You'll be fine. You'll not do that much damage, but it'll feel fun. Personally, I really liked Weaver. That's probably my favorite one. How it works, and it's just very, very fun. Or I wouldn't recommend Fresh Air, honestly, because Fresh Air just doesn't really work that well with etchings and the way that it works. So I would just recommend to go for Condi. I guess you will not do that much damage though. But yeah, well, just not use Fresh Air. I guess you don't have to go. You can go power, but yeah, just don't do Fresh Air. It doesn't really seem like it's a good idea for Ellie. So you could just you'll just what's the point in going to air all the time when you can't use the etching all the time? What's the point? And then for Revenant is kind of fucked. Actually, I don't think there's anything you can do about that one. Okay, you can play Herald and you can play Renegade, but you will get insanely energy starved. You can play Vindicator in order to not get energy starved, but you still will, and there's no point because it's Condi, and Condi Vindicator doesn't really work, does it? You don't have any traits in that spec to actually make it work. You're not giving any boons either, so I would not recommend that. But you could try it if you want to. I think in open world it's probably gonna be fine, to be fair. It's just that in any other type of content, maybe not. And I would not recommend it in PvP or World either, because, well, as I said before, it's insanely energy starved, so yeah, they always do that with Renegade. They just forget about the energy requirements of the weapons. So there you go. But that's more or less what you should be trying out. Sorry for being a bit too late on this video. Honestly, I should have done it yesterday, but I was too busy talking about the drama, about the horrible tweet that Internet put in about the beta that confused everyone. But there you go. Subscribe to the channel from Codless. Go to my coffee if you want to support me. And see you guys around. Love you all. Bye bye. Bye bye.